I'm still at the stage with this Celtic team now. I've got no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night.
But do you think if we could pass tomorrow night, it gives us the breathing room to bring in a couple of players? I mean, how much breathing room do you really get in terms of between tomorrow night and the first group game?
Well, they've agreed a fee for the boy, Skepovic.
How do you say his name? Is it Skepovic or Skopovic?
Skepovic, aye.
Skopovic sounds like a fucking top on the edge, doesn't it?
But, and you know, I mean, that's a guy who scored 23 goals last season for Sporting Gijon and scored in his first 5 games for them, which has never been done by anybody in their history. And, you know, 6'1", looks a player playing for Serbia and all that kind of thing. And he's got a genuine pedigree. I mean, he's own loaned clubs like Sampdoria and Club Brugge and that. Played for Partizan. So, I mean, that's a striker with pedigree at 24-year-old. It's not really the type of striker we've been buying, you know, for that kind of money and the teams played for. Clearly, you've got the boy Mubarak, who's coming in. I think the work permit details are finally sorted with him. And then, of course, you've got Tonev, who will be playing as soon as his mother learns the language, like, you know.
But you're right, Paul. See the big Serbian, although it's like the Segunda division in Spain, it's Sporting Gijon have got I think behind Athletic, they've got the most fanatical support in La Liga, and their fans are absolute fanatics. You know, they get really behind their team. So he's impressed them, and he's kind of coming with I know Gary Hooper wasn't about, but Gary Hooper coming for a lower league club as well, being pretty prolific. This is kind of the striker I'm glad that we're signing. You know, we're signing a guy that I fully expect to come into the team and to hit the ground running.
Mm.
And he's also asked to come as well. I mean, he's been asked to keep, but from what I've read, he's been kept away from the main team in order to avoid injury. He's really up for this, and this is what he wants. And obviously watching videos of him, you can't tell what he's like, but he looks tall, and I think that's something we're missing for a while. Especially
I think as well, see the teams that we're in from, like Mallorca and things like that, just goes to show you that we can actually outspend those teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, see when you get to the lower echelons of La Liga, a lot of the teams haven't got any money, you know, and then the big ones are chucking money about where it's going out of fashion. But I think the lower ones are pretty cash strapped. So I hope we get the guy, you know, and it's only YouTube videos we're watching and things like that. But I'm very, very hopeful he'll be good. And he's got a bit of height about him. And we've not had a number 9 for a wee while. You're talking about for Hart. I mean, Baldy would ideally have been that number 9, but no chance.
No.
So since Harts and Sutton and things like that, we haven't really had that type of player. And I'm pretty positive with this one.
And his closest tip. Sorry, Harper, on you go, mate.
I just want to say, Alistair's said the same. You guys are fading in and out, so there's not really much we can do about it. I think it sounds all right at our end, so it'll be recording all right for the podcast playback. But you just have to bear with us, guys. He's saying it's back now, so just have to soldier on.
I'll get the full rundown for Liam tomorrow.
I'm just watching I can only go by watching what it is. By watching the microphone here on the Spreaker page.
See, just bring it back to Stokes, what you were saying, Jason. That was another thing they were saying on off the ball, obviously, because he's an Irish striker and that, and they were saying that Stokes just come off and he's had a terrible game. They're saying that this is a guy who's really got to start proving himself now, and he's come off there and he's done nothing, and I'm like, honestly, man, I nearly put my bloody fist
to the window. Himself into the ground.
I know, and I think Stokes has been one of the positives so far this season. I think his touches round about the box and his flicks and that are absolutely brilliant. And we all know he does play with a partner, and hopefully this boy, the Serbian boy coming in, can be that guy that will help Stokes blossom again. And I think Stokes, maybe I'm just picking up someone that's not really here, but I think Stokes looks fitter and leaner at the start of this season than I've seen him in a long time. I don't know if that's anything to do with the new regime and the training or anything like that. I just think Stokes looks kind of sharper, if you like.
Aye, I would agree. I'm more than happy with Stokes.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely one of the positives. Him and Kyle were my 2 best players, and Johansson. I think Johansson had a good game as well, and I think he'll obviously blossom under Dyler because obviously he's his boy. But But it's again, I've no idea what's going to happen tomorrow night.
But the thing is, it's getting through tomorrow night, and I can't remember who made the point that we don't know what we're going to get from the Celtic team yet this season, but I don't think we've seen the Celtic team yet this season, because as you say, if we get the big Serbian and the boy, what's the Ghanaian fella's name again?
Mubarak, aye.
Sherlock Mubarak. and Tony, these are guys. These are Scottish national best. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, he put on his Instagram page today. Somebody made a picture of him looking at Sherlock Holmes, and he said this was Celtic fans' national best. There you go. And as you say, we've got Tony coming in. You've got Denier is coming in there, and he's playing. He's obviously going to play a game. These are all guys that are coming in to be in the first team. These are the squad players. These are the guys to make up numbers. We didn't sign the loan sign and sit on the bench. I don't think these are guys that are going to come in. Well, obviously, if they didn't do well, they'll not be in the team. But I think they're earmarked to come in and be first team players. So we've not seen the Celtic team this season, which for me is quite exciting actually.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that young Denier looks class.
Aye.
We would never be able to have somebody like that playing this full time. No. He's like your kind of like Everton with Lukaku. You know, it's like if at the end of the season you're wanting to buy him, it's going to be 28 million.
I mean, you can see.
Jason, sorry, Joe.
No, that's all right.
Jason, just do you know what? It comes back to what you said a few weeks ago on the podcast about why are we not going to big clubs and saying, look, here's your best young players and you put them in our team. And that's what's happened there. That's exactly what's happened.
I know. And absolutely. I mean, I know with the Tonev and stuff like that, it's like the option to buy. This Denier, there'll be no option to buy. No. I don't really care, because we're getting this guy for a full season. We should never have guys like that at our team. Well, as a Celtic fan, you think we should have the best players in the world at our team. But in reality, these days, the way money controls things and the monopoly the big teams have got over a lot of the youths, and they'll stockpile them and loan them out. But if we can get, obviously Paul's touched on it quite a lot, the Dial as well thought of with Man City. If we can get a wee, and it's sad as a Celtic supporter, you're taking Man City's like cast-offs, but they've got an Arab Sheikh running them now. And if we can get a lot of kids for Man City as a wee conveyor belt and we can offer them the opportunity to play Champions League football, I'm more than happy to take it. Because
and Jason, and even once that guy's in the team, we can go to other teams and say, look at this fella. This is what we can offer you. Do you know what I mean? Here's the proof. We'll do it. We'll play them.
And Martinez with Everton, Everton were getting a lot of flack last season for the loan signings. And Martin has done an interview and he says about Gerard Deulofeu, and he says, well, we wouldn't have the opportunity to get this young guy to come and play with Everton. He says, so we've got a chance for having him for a year. He says, a football career is very short. He says, you could have somebody, and he says, they spit the dummy out and they want to leave at the end of the year. So he says, you're actually getting a year of this guy playing at your club where you wouldn't get it before. So all I'm taking is a positive. I mean, I'm not worrying about Celtic signing Denier after this season going forward. I'm a realist to say that's not going to happen. I'm just more than happy to have the guy for a season.
I mean, a guy like Denier, I think a guy with his ability at 19, we can see him going on to big things, right? A guy like that further down the line, he's going to have good things to say about Celtic as well, in terms of somebody comes to him for advice at some point down the line and says, Celtic are in for me for a loan deal. You have a guy who'll have quality, I would say, to say, go ahead, I made the same move. It's progress and respect for the club, I suppose, in terms of big quality players, seeing that it's a good place to play. Would you I suppose?
Absolutely.
Well, I think as well that in the realms of the coaching badges and so on, Celtic have a lot of these guys coming that are doing their badges and they'll maybe watch a training session or take a training session or see young kids or whatever. And you see them all the time on Sky and various other places talking about just how professional a club Celtic are, and that probably opens their eyes a wee bit. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to be if you want to attract. If you want to get top clubs with huge money to give you their players for a season, then you have to have the right facility. You have to have right everything because they're giving you a prize asset. You know what I mean?
If you were still trying to borrow feed, you wouldn't get that guy.
Well, exactly. You're not going to loan your Mercedes to some fucking idiot. You know what I mean? You want somebody to look after it, and so But I also think as well. I was thinking about this today that I think Lawwell has been very Peter Lawwell in the last couple of days. And the guy says to me, "I can't believe we're actually going to buy that Serbian boy before we even know we're in the Champions League." I say, "You know why that is? Because we've already banked the money for him threefold for Foster. And if we qualify, they'll just turn around and say, no, we've already got our players. We're not going to spend any more money." And then they'll just bank the Champions League clash as well. And then on it'll go. And I genuinely believe, not to get too far ahead of myself, that if we do bank this Champions League cash tomorrow, I just didn't, and I don't know any of the rest of these things, I didn't see how anybody in Scottish football is going to be able to touch us for the generation.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that like Peter Law is spending the money kind of in lieu? You know what I mean? He's spending last year's money now, maybe? You know? I mean,
they've taken in 11.2 million in transfers, Joe, on top of the 13 million profit we made last season. You know, then you're going to bank a cheque for minimum 15 million when you get through the Champions League. So you've got to sell out your 3 home games, you've got all the hospitality, the advertising around that, etc., etc., etc. Meanwhile, you've got clubs, I mean, you know, they're getting their teams gutted by Championship clubs and Premiership clubs, you know, having to go to the lower reaches English football to bring players and that. And, you know, perhaps that's why our youth development's not been as good, because we've been able to just keep doing that. But for me, it's like we will at some point have to address the fact that we might not be good enough to compete in the Champions League. Hopefully we are. But we're miles too good for Scottish football.
Aye. Yeah. But, I mean, I also read during the week that Dallas said he wants to spend the money on an indoor pitch.
Aye.
I mean, like, I don't know what kind of indoor pitch might cost £15 million. I mean, unless, of course, it plays football for you.
I mean, I was puzzled by that. I was under the impression we already had a full-size indoor pitch at Lennoxtown. That was obviously wrong.
I think it's a fairly big oversight if you don't in this day and age, you know.
Especially the weather you playing in this bloody country.
Exactly.
But you've seen videos for them doing different things like on Celtic TV, and they've got a big indoor complex here. I must be missing something here.
Well, maybe it's not big enough. Maybe it's like your local football hall. I don't know. But clearly, Ronnie Douglas thinks it needs to be bigger. So tomorrow night, I mean, are we expecting the same team as last week?
I would say no.
Commons will play tomorrow night.
I would think you're going to have Commons playing. I would say they're going to line up with the same kind of formation. They're going to play that way tomorrow night. I would say they're going to just defend and look to get us in the break again. I think that's the way they'll play. I think, without getting ahead of myself, as I say, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think with that team, if we could get an early goal, the arse could collapse in them, you know, with the crowd. If the crowd's rabid and everybody's going for it, you know, this could be one of the great Celtic Park nights, and by all accounts, I think Celtic put out there was only 1,000 tickets left, so that's phenomenal. You know? So the place could be.
I'll tell you something else, Jason. Like, I don't know how you feel or the rest of you feel. I still feel this is all a wee bit surreal now that we're one step away from the Champions League. Like,
I know. I kind of still think something's going to happen.
You're going to wake up. You're going to wake up, and Linda's going to go, "It's time for work."
Aye, like Ambrose was banned or something, and UEFA's going to kick us out or something. I don't know. There's just something. You're right. It is surreal. It's as if this isn't really happening. And it's just. And did you hear about the over Maribor last week? The songs they were singing. Like Legia Warsaw, we wish you were here. And seemingly hundreds of Celtic supporters went and bought loads of postcards over there and posted them to Legia Warsaw Stadium. Saying they're thinking about these.
How many years was the first result you checked on Thursday night? Was the Wenger result looking for them to get beat?
I actually bet them because they were 11-10, and I thought they're not a bad side. They're playing a Kazakhstan team away, and they won 1-0, of course. So 4 o'clock kickoff it was, but I kept an eye on that.
I heard
they're a far better team than Maribor, I would say.
I heard true to form there was a lot of trouble before in Kazakhstan. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. One of the boys at work was saying Liga of Warsaw fans running rampage again.
There was a guy running around going, I don't like.
They must have a few quid if they can afford to travel to bloody Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they've just got a big squad of Paul the Tims.